What's going on, guys? So I got a question the other day from a few different friends that they asked me what sort of things they should be looking for in a pre-workout supplement and what are some things that they should try to avoid. So if you're wondering the same thing, then stay tuned. Alright, so let's get started. So the first thing you always want to look for in your pre-workout is transparent labeling. What this means is that there are no proprietary blends included. And a proprietary blend is basically a blend of ingredients and it gives you the overall dosage, but it doesn't give you the specific dosage of each individual ingredient. The problem with this is that you have no idea how much of each ingredient you're getting, so you don't know if it's actually giving you any benefit at all. So my recommendation is that you steer clear of any formulas with proprietary blends in them. Alright, so let's talk ingredients. So the first one I'll say is caffeine. Caffeine is a stimulant, and it works by sensitizing neurons and increasing adrenaline in the body. So the main effects of this are an increased work capacity, strength and power output, energy, and overall focus. So there are 3 different types of caffeine you could find in a pre-workout. That's caffeine anhydrous, dicaffeine malate, and caffeine citrate. I personally prefer dicaffeine malate because a component of it is malic acid, and that provides a lot of benefits for the human body. I also really like caffeine citrate because it absorbs much faster than any other type of caffeine. Okay, so doses will generally depend from person to person, but I like to stay around 200 to 400 milligrams of caffeine in a pre-workout. So tons of brands will use anywhere from 150 to 180 usually, and that will give you some benefit, but given that we're in America and we drink caffeine as much as we drink water, I like to still stay around the 200 to 400 mark. Another little side note is that theanine, or L-theanine, I don't remember how to say it, but it pairs really well with caffeine to enhance caffeine's benefits, but it also improves focus during a workout. Okay, so second ingredient is a nitric oxide enhancer. So the way that these work is they actually increase plasma arginine levels, and that boosts nitric oxide formation in the body. This opens your blood vessels, and it increases pumps, increases recovery, and oxygenation of your cells while you train. So these will come in a lot of different forms, whether it's citrulline, citrulline malate, what else? AAKG, just arginine itself. So based on research, citrulline and citrulline malate are far and away the most effective enhancers of NO production in the body. So the reason that they're better than arginine is that there's a lot of research to show that citrulline and citrulline malate have actually boosted plasma arginine levels better than supplementing arginine in itself. The dose that you're going to want to look for any citrulline or citrulline malate is anywhere from 6 to 9 grams per serving. Alright, ingredient number 3, beta-alanine. So beta-alanine, obviously, as I've talked about in other videos, is a precursor for muscle carnosine. What it does is it enhances muscular endurance. I've talked a lot about it, I'm not going to really waste time on it. If you want to go back, you can always look at my other video on beta-alanine. So, but I will say that with beta-alanine, you always want at least 2 to 5 grams per serving of beta. Ingredient number 3, creatine. So creatine, I've obviously talked about in a different video, but just to give you a brief overview, it increases the phosphorylation surplus around the cells, replenishes your ADP and makes it ATP again, enhances energy, muscular endurance, strength output, all of that. So the general dosage for creatine that you're going to want to look for is anywhere from, I would say, 1 to 3 grams. It could go as high as 5, but generally you do like to supplement half of your dose before your workout and half your dose after. So anywhere from, I would say, 1 to 2.5 is actually probably safer. Ingredient number 4 is B vitamins. So basically B vitamins enhance your energy, they improve focus, overall cognition, and given that B vitamins are water soluble, this means that any excess is actually removed from the body. So don't worry too much about too high of a dose of B vitamins. I wouldn't go crazy on it because it's just a waste of money. But like I said, it's excreted from the body if it's in any excess. A lot of companies will just include B vitamins at very low doses just to say that they have them in the label and in the formula. So beware of those companies. So my personal opinion for the most important B vitamins that you want to make sure are in your pre-workout are B2, B3, and B12. Okay, so the last ingredient I want to talk about is tyrosine. So this comes in 2 different forms. One is L-tyrosine and one is NALT, or N-acetyl L-tyrosine. So these are really important for enhanced focus while you're training, probably the most important focus element of your pre-workout formula. So dosages will generally be from 500 to 1,000 milligrams per serving. Anything lower than that, you might not see much of an effect from it. Okay, so now to talk about things that you want to avoid when you're shopping for a pre-workout. Going back to proprietary blends, if a company isn't comfortable telling you exactly what you're getting per serving, then that's a red flag right there, that they don't want to show exactly what dosages you're getting of each ingredient. Usually companies will use proprietary blends to mask the fact that they use clinically ineffective doses, meaning minimal doses that don't actually have any effect on your body. So here's a little disclaimer about the big name brands like Cellucor C4, NO Explode, Performix Ion, etc., etc., etc. I've yet to find any big brands that use clinically effective doses in their products. So yes, they're obviously cheaper because they can afford to be, but you need to keep in mind that you get what you paid for. So to really feel any benefit, I usually had to take 2 servings, sometimes 3 servings of their products in my pre-workout. So, and looking back to that, honestly, it makes their products even more expensive. I personally know a lot of people that were taking up to 3 scoops of some of these brands. So yes, you're paying $30 for 30 servings initially, but when you start double and triple scooping it, you're really paying anywhere from $60 to $90 just for 30 servings. So is that really more cost effective? Okay, so to piggyback off that, I'm going to give a little backstory on some research that I did. So as you may know, BioFit Labs will be releasing our pre-workout supplement called Primer on launch day with the specific date TBD. So I researched about 4 dozen different brands of pre-workout to look at their dosing and pricing and just their designs, their graphics, all of that. And with that, for every single ingredient that I was able to find in all those different brands, I broke down with a summary, the biochemistry, physiology, notable research, dosing, safety, all of that. And like I said, for every single ingredient. And this took me hundreds of hours. And of those 4 dozen brands, I found only a handful, and by handful I mean 4 or 5 brands that actually used clinically effective doses in all of their ingredients. Anything below a clinically effective dose is likely to have little to no effect on your body. You're really only getting a placebo effect. Is that really worth the money? I don't think so. But not only that, but these 4 or 5 different brands, they were also priced anywhere from $50 to $60 to even above that in price range. So I think the moral of the story is that there's currently a lot of greed in the supplement industry. There are very few brands that truly care about your success, in my opinion. But that's why BioFit Labs is going to do something about that. Okay, so now to talk about some ingredients that you want to avoid. The first one is going to be beta-alanine and taurine. And am I saying that you're supposed to avoid these ingredients completely? No, I'm saying you should avoid them together. So if you go back to the video where I was talking about beta-alanine, you'd see that I was talking about how beta-alanine and taurine have this antagonistic effect on each other. They compete for uptake because they use the same transporter. So if you have a supplement and on the label it says beta-alanine some dosage, taurine some dosage, really know that you're getting less of each because they're both competing for uptake into the cell. So you're really not getting as much as it says. Another ingredient that you should avoid is agmatine sulfate. And again, another stipulation with this is that agmatine sulfate is great, but not in a pre-workout. So things that agmatine doesn't go well with are arginine and citrulline, and definitely not creatine. The reason for this is that creatine positively influences your NDMA signaling, but agmatine sulfate works in the opposite manner, meaning that they should not be used at the same exact time. So agmatine is really great, especially for overcoming addictions like smoking, alcohol, certain other drugs, especially opiates, like narcotics. But as far as a pre-workout supplement goes, I would stay away from agmatine sulfate. Okay, so the next ingredient I want to talk about is betaine. So betaine is also known as trimethylglycine. So what it does is it reduces homocysteine levels in the body, and because homocysteine is a biomarker for cardiovascular disease, this implies that betaine would help to reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease. There has yet to be any proven research on humans for the effects of betaine as a pre-workout, but until that point, I wouldn't be too concerned about finding a pre-workout that has betaine in it. Okay, and then the last ingredient I want to talk about is arginine. So I kind of already talked about this before, but arginine does enhance plasma arginine levels, but citrulline malate and citrulline enhance it much further. So I wouldn't waste my money on something with arginine in it. I would look more for something that has citrulline or citrulline malate in it. Okay, so that's really all I have to talk about. I just want to make it perfectly clear that I'm not trying to take a shot at all these big brands. I'm just trying to encourage you as a consumer to make sure you're critical when you're buying pre-workouts or any other supplements for that matter. Make sure that you're looking into the ingredients, looking into the dosing, making sure that there's actually research to support that these work. And a really good resource I've talked about before is examine.com. I would always recommend you check that out. But yeah, basically just be a critical consumer. Make sure that you know what you're taking and you know why you're taking, you know how much you're taking of it. So I really hope you guys liked this video and learned a lot from it. If you'd like to see more content like this, please don't forget to subscribe and let me know how you think I'm doing. So thanks for watching, guys.